Hey guys, so today we're not actually going to talk, not even a little. We're going to listen. We're going to listen to me and my coworker Zhe, who is a programmer from China, who is an enormously talented programmer who started his career actually as a QA and then became a full-time software developer. So we're going to listen to him tell us the story basically of how he started programming and how he got to where he is today. So hopefully you find this interesting. Let's listen in.
Let's keep that going. So, sorry, you were saying like you were QA when you started the university, or?
No, after my bachelor study, because when I tried to apply for studying abroad first time, I didn't succeed. I didn't get any admissions.
Okay.
So I decided to work for 1 year, and at the same time apply again. At that time, I can either apply jobs to work as a chemist or like something related to chemistry, or I can just do programming or computer stuff. So I decided, I don't really like chemistry, so that's why I try to apply for different positions.
Okay.
Yes, I have some certificate, CCN for Cisco routers.
Okay.
So I try to apply to be a network engineer, I guess, and I didn't succeed. Didn't get an offer, but then there's some company they were hiring software testers. So yeah, that's why I got hired. Yeah, it was pretty cool experience.
Yeah. So so basically what I'm hearing is that you started your career as a software tester, like in IT at least.
Yeah.
And then when did you make the switch into full-time programming?
No, when I was a tester, I was doing a lot of programming as well, because we were using some language, a software called Silk Test. So they are using like similar to C syntax.
Silk Test.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the syntax is similar to C, and we are doing a lot of. I was doing some programming in that. So I guess that's kind of full time. Although, but when I decide, I think after last year in my master program, when I was studying in Sweden, I think at that time I was running out of money because my father passed away and my mom.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, thanks. So my father passed away after 1 year after I came to Sweden. So probably I feel like I will not have money to support myself for another half year. So I need to find a job fast, or maybe it was because I cannot. After graduation, I need to almost like get a job immediately. Otherwise, I cannot stay. At the time, I was studying, looking for jobs. So I think I tried both. I got some offer from AstraZeneca, which is more relevant to what I studied as a master student. So
Chemistry. Or
biology more, but it's also like development position. I guess maybe my profile as biology, as a biologist or chemist, it's not so impressive.
It sounds pretty impressive to me, dude.
But
you sound like you had a really long.
But compared to my other classmates, maybe if I compete purely in that field, I cannot win. But if I compete if it's a poor biologist but with a good programming skills, maybe then I can win. But
but honestly, I can imagine that a company the size of AstraZeneca would have a real I'm assuming that they do their own IT development as well. And I can only imagine that if you've actually combined these twin fields of study with biology and systems development, that should have been something to give you a bit of an edge in like an interview sort of situation. Okay, maybe not as a pure chemist, but I mean, there are more positions out there that require a range of skills rather than just chemistry or biology. Correct?
Yeah, there are, because like computational chemistry. Yeah, nowadays it's hardly any field that is like just pure. They're just purely focusing in that field. They have to combine, especially the computation with software or algorithm. They have to combine with those. Yeah, so they hire a lot of bioinformatics. They are basically like coders, but doing biology related stuff. So, but I think at the time I had 2 offers, one from AstraZeneca, one from another company. But the AstraZeneca one will require me to go back to China and work in Shanghai instead.
So it wasn't here in Gothenburg, because they have an entire office here as well.
Yeah. I guess that mean yeah, I had to make a decision. So if I want to stay here, so yeah, I want to stay.
But
here.
which company do you go to?
So, yeah, there's a company called Lavasoft. It's
Lavasoft. I think that I know about that company. It's a virus company, correct, or a software virus preventing company?
Yeah, we're making
Antivirus.
Antivirus, but they had a niche because they are almost like the first anti-malware software company. So that's
because I've used their program. It's like Asset or something, like one of their systems.
One is called Adaware.
Adaware, yes, I've used this.
So that was what I was working on before.
You were working on that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. What so this was your first programming job?
No, I was employed as a tester. So
okay, so you got to Lavasoft as a tester as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm doing a lot of development work in Python. And,
but if you got hired as a QA or a tester, how is it that you did so much development work as well? Did you do automated testing?
Yeah,
or?
because of my previous work experience, I had some experience in automated tests, so I decided and I tried to add more automated tests when I was in Lavasoft. And so yeah, that involves a lot of programming because it's almost a lot of since I was the only one doing testing there, so I need to make a lot of decisions myself.
So you are the only tester?
Yeah. So there, not the only tester, but I'm only the developer in the testing.
Developer in test.
Developer in test.
Yeah. No, I've heard that title.
Because there's that was me and my team leader, Jeff. So, but I'm the one with the programming skills. So it's mostly me try to I just had this. I use this before. I want to have it in Lavasoft. I want to have automated tests. That's why. And yeah, so
well, I guess so. If you're the only tester, I'm assuming that automated testing would make your life a lot easier.
Yeah.
Manual testing is not going to work. I'm guessing.
Definitely. Yeah. Yes.
Especially
I guess
for such
one of the reason. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, especially for such a complicated thing as malware identification or ads identification or things of this nature, where, I mean, you must have so many different threats and different viruses that needs to be verified. But
those are, those tests. I guess I was mainly focusing on UI test actually.
UI testing.
So that's why I was I had a lot of lessons learned for UI testing, and how I hate automated UI test.
Yeah. Okay. Explain. What did you learn? What would you say was a big lesson for you with the automated UI testing?
Yeah, I think it's kind of expensive to maintain UI testing.
Yes.
And also, I don't know, the result we get from it. It's compared to the investment. I don't know if it's worth it. Especially, I think in Lavasoft we also developed some of our in-house UI framework. or so it's like you render the interface yourself. So it's not using some standard Windows framework, and a lot of standard tools for UI testing. They basically they see a blank page when they launch our applications. I think that's one of the lessons I learned. Yeah, try not to invent your own UI framework. So the cost is definitely there's a lot of hidden cost for that.
For creating your own UI framework, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had some issues like if you use a standard UI framework, a lot of our popular ones, probably you will not have problem with Unicode or localizations. But we had a lot of trouble with that. Like when you display, when we try to display Chinese or Japanese, for example, like sometimes they cut the characters in half. So because this framework, it's not designed to handle that. But a lot of standard frameworks they have this built-in features because people have thought about it. And then there's some other problem like words, wrapping words. Like if you have a German word, how you to make sure when to wrap it or when not to.
And when not to, yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of issues with this. Just so much time spent on the stupid UI. I mean, you could.
Are you gonna tell me now that you're a front-end developer? Because I'm pretty sure that I'm starting to see why you are.
No, I'm not.
You're not a front-end developer.
No,
I would have never guessed, dude. I would have never guessed.
No, front-end. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I tried to learn CSS. Never got a real feeling for it.
But dude, don't sell yourself short. I have worked with you, and I have seen you do React coding. I know that there are a few commits in the front-end project where it says your name. And you told me that you were trying out some React stuff. So okay, so you tried to learn some CSS and some React. But basically your fear and hatred of front-end comes from how this, all this bullshit UI testing...
no, I didn't hate front-end work, I guess. But I have
You didn't, but are you not? Do you not?
But I'm a lesson learned. Right now, I think it's just, it's too many choices. I guess...
In tooling? Different frameworks? Or?
Yeah, in the whole front-end world, JavaScript ecosystem, especially.
Yeah, it's massive. Like there's so many things.
I don't know if I'm a beginner, for example. I don't know anything about front-end. How can I get started? I mean, you just have to pick one, I guess.
And this is coming from you, who's been doing this. You have been programming, or you've been like working as a software engineer now for how many years?
12.
12 years. So you are, I would say, by every single, like you are a very experienced programmer, and you say that it's hard to get started because of all that diversity. There's so many different options that you don't know as a beginner. Yeah, you're not a beginner software developer, but you might be a beginner with the SPA frameworks like React and stuff. You don't know what to pick. Yeah. That's a big problem, right?
Yeah. I guess it's when you start to learn something that's a big commitment, or maybe it depends. If you just try something out and throw it away, I mean, if you keep your set an expectation correct, perhaps it's okay just to no string attached, kind of trying out a new framework.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Exactly as you were saying. Like, if you're just testing something out, if you find something interesting, then then it doesn't really matter what you pick. Then you can do anything and you can try it out and see if it fits. But if you're trying to actually know, okay, what should I learn in order to get a stable career with front-end development and things like that, then it's a much bigger risky thing. It's a bigger investment.
I guess, yeah, it is. I think that's like a general for all the languages or for software engineering industry.
Mm-hmm.
Any skill you pick or any languages you pick, you will have this risk.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
am I betting on the right thing? How do you know?
Yeah, I guess you will never know. Because for me, I mean, I try. When I try just start learning Python, for example, try to start using Python. It's not really because I saw a future of this thing. something. Because in 2007 or 8, Python was it's kind of slow. You cannot really do anything with it. There is some web framework, but it's
And today it's the second most popular programming language.
it's really hard to imagine. But
Yeah.
at the time, not many people. It's really hard to find a job if you say I want to be a Python developer in 2008. It's impossible in Sweden, and few websites are made. There are few successful web services are made in Python, and at that time, I think I don't know. I just I guess it's just a feeling that when I use Python, I feel I enjoy coding in this. I guess, but people said the same thing with Ruby and Rails, and
Yes.
but
Yes.
I tried a little bit. I guess, it just clicked with Python.
Yeah.
So when I choose languages or framework, I try not to, focus on think about too much about the future. Like,
You just do it because you think it's nice. You just pick it because you
try
like
it out and see do I like the syntax and the tuition and the maybe even the documentation, how people in the community
Yes.
how they feel. I think those are some things I thought about when I try to choose a new thing to learn.
Okay.
So the same with same with Golang, I guess, with Golang and Rust. A lot of people like Rust in our company, but I don't know why they don't like Golang. But why?
Who doesn't like Golang?
Okay, but I guess maybe
Just because somebody likes Rust, that doesn't mean that they don't like Golang, my friend.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But most people you don't talk about Golang and Rust.
Do you want to talk about Golang? Do you want to talk about Rust?
I don't know if maybe not. I don't know well enough to, but I like the simplicity of Golang.
It is if we're gonna be if we're looking between like say something like Java or Golang, I mean there's definitely a much smoother syntax. It's an easier time to get started with Golang, and like
so maybe because how I started. Maybe because C was the first two languages I started to learn when I just started programming, and Golang kind of reminded me of C. It's such simple syntax, such simple language, but you can achieve a lot of things. It's just limited by your imagination. Feels like, so maybe that's why I compares to big languages like Scala.
let's not even talk about Scala. That is.
Yeah.
Is there a bigger language? Like, for real, like I don't even know if there is a bigger language. I don't know. I feel like you can do everything in Scala, and there's like a million ways of doing them, and like there's so much, so much that I won't ever learn all of it.
Yeah, it's powerful. Maybe it's my personality. I always want to try to find it's the right way to do this thing. There's no other way.
Are you looking? Way. So you like to try to figure out the simplest solution, or are you? Is it the right way?
Yeah, I'm just trying to do things the right way. And for Golang.
What is the right way?
Yeah, no. So the example you gave with Scala, there's so many ways to do one thing. So that's something I don't like. I like if the author or the community have already decided, okay, from now on we want to do this task. We only do it in this way. There's no other way.
And that is Golang, and that is Python.
Yes. So I guess I don't like too much freedom in the language. I don't know.
I agree. I agree with you. Like the thing is, like I always thought that it was such a silly thing when people start complaining about, oh no, I want to use this pattern and this pattern, I want this syntactic sugar. Like in JavaScript, it's fucking crazy. Everybody's like, we need async await because it's so much nicer than promises, and like there are these discussions, and there are many ways of doing something, and all it does is that it causes a situation where, all right, because there's now multiple ways of doing something, we have to create different tools to fit both cases. If there's just one way to write it, you can actually optimize things because there's only one way to do it.
Yeah, that's definitely one advantage. Another thing is, I just thought about it. Another advantage might be every time when you had to make a choice, you basically you have to battle with yourself, all the pro cons with different way of doing things. So we have to make so many decisions in our daily work, like when we try to implement something.
Yes.
So probably you should try to reduce the times that you have to make a decision, just to make things easier. Right? I just want to finish this requirement. I don't want to think about, okay, should I choose between these 3 framework? Depends on my need. It's best just to tell me, okay, choose this one, then move on, and let's finish the business logic.
You just want to get stuff done.
Yeah. So I guess that's why. I just thought about that. Maybe that's why I'm just lazy.
No, but you're not lazy, dude. Like it's you're looking to solve a problem, and something that is so common, and that I am the first person who's going to say this, to tell you this. I really dislike this idea that a program it's all about the tooling. No, it's not about the tools. It's about the business logic. It's about solving a problem, and the tools are a way for us to solve that problem. You don't need 10 tools to solve the same problem. You need 1 or 2 maybe to cover most of your cases.
Mm-hmm.
But so when you started as a QA, and like once again, you started as a QA, you started doing some Python development. What was your first how did you progress into full-time programming? How did you get to that point?
Yeah, I guess I'm not in the beginning. I wasn't really confident that I can do development work.
Mm-hmm.
Although I've done other development, so that was basically maybe not confident enough. So when I apply for a job, I will just send applications to the development position instead of a testing position. But after Lavasoft, I become a consultant. So I first worked as a tester, or a test engineer.
Test engineer.
Yeah, but later, I guess it's a good thing with a consultant is you could just change assignments easily. So I told my manager that after a while I feel like, okay, I don't want to do just testing anymore, because I've seen some developers and feel like I could do I probably can do what they do also.
Oh, okay. So you were looking over some shoulders and you saw that, okay.
No, yeah, I mean, it
doesn't look that hard.
At least I can do the same like the bad programmers. I mean, I can achieve the same level as the bad programmers.
You can do the same level of program as the bad programmers. Yes.
So that's
well, I have seen you code, dude. So yeah, I would say that you can do the same as the bad programmers.
So yeah. So that gave me some confidence just to ask for development assignment, and then so that's how I started. After that,
And then you started doing consultancy work as a programmer.
I was working for a consulting company, a consulting agency company.
Mm-hmm.
So I work in house for the clients.
Was it here in Gothenburg?
Yeah, it's I was in Ericsson twice.
Ericsson, yes, that's they hire a lot of consultants.
Yeah, so
it was Java development then, or was it?
No, the first time I was there was as a test engineer. So at the time was doing some automated test development.
Okay.
But using this language called TDCN, and it's also similar to C syntax. But the second time I was in Ericsson, I was actually I think web service app developer. Actually, we were doing some continuous integration system development.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some Python, that was nice, and some PHP, which is not so nice. But and it's using but it was a long time ago. I think 2005. Yeah, 2004, 2005. Yeah, so they were using Drupal and and some Python scripts.
So Drupal and Python at Ericsson.
Yeah, it's not that good because the Drupal was a kind of old version, so it shipped with some old. It's a front end. It was done in jQuery.
Yeah.
And it's some old jQuery even because the Drupal was some old version of Drupal, and it's really hard to. Apparently, it's really hard to upgrade to a new one because how we written our system.
Yeah. So now they need to maintain that old version.
Yeah, the jQuery is so old you cannot find documentation for it. So basically, you have to download the source code, and in the source code maybe there is a README, a doc folder. There you can find some some help.
See, I love that you're saying this. I love that you're because this is something that I've been saying. So many people have been giving me like hate about saying that it's not just when you're doing front end development or you're doing any type of UI work. It's not just about learning an SPA such as Vue or Angular or React or really whatever it is, because there are actually still companies out there who are using jQuery. There are people who are using vanilla JavaScript. You actually have to know JavaScript as well.
Yeah. jQuery was nice. I think jQuery. I used jQuery before.
Yeah.
It was before Angular.
But before SPAs, jQuery was the thing. It was the sex of the web. It was the thing that you were using because all of these browser inconsistencies.
Yeah, it's really nice. There's a lot of plugins for jQuery.
Yes, so many widgets. You can still go and find. You can still download tons of widgets for jQuery. It was the biggest thing ever before the SPAs.
Yeah, I guess there's still. I don't know, but the latest version WordPress, do they still have jQuery?
I'm not sure about that.
But yeah, I mean, it was very big in WordPress as well, jQuery.
Yes, for sure. But it was like everything doing. If you were doing web development work, especially if it was in PHP and jQuery was like these two things went together mostly. But so when you started working like you started working for Ericsson as a consultant, as a software developer after a fairly long while as a QA, and today here you're more into DevOps and operations type of things because you are my mentor on Kubernetes. I've gotten so many tips from you regarding operations and Kubernetes and infrastructure. So when did that start to happen? When did you start getting interested in infrastructure, or did it just happen because you took this job?
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I guess I'm always. Since I like automation, I try to do automate some of my ops works as well.
Mm-hmm.
So. In my private project mostly in the beginning. Actually, when was in my first job in Lavasoft, because we have to run our software in different versions of Windows.
Mm-hmm.
So we use a lot of virtual machine. At that time, I developed some tools to help me, some Python tools that create virtual machines and deploy software and then run test in VMware. So it's kind of like a Vagrant, but it's
mm-hmm. It's a homemade. It's a Zhe original.
Yeah, I mean, I had I had this. I even had this open source library called VM Run.
Yeah,
it used to be on Google Code before they shut down, so it was kind of popular. So it probably just exposed some interface to Python to control your virtual machine. I guess that's where it started. After that, I always try different tools to automate things. When during my consulting work at Ericsson, I also had a side project with my friend. So it's a Django applications. So I use Salt Salt stack.
Yeah, Salt
to automate the operation work. So I have developed a lot of code to provision the machine, install all the software, and launch the service and deploy the service,
mm-hmm.
Or do migrations. So yeah, in my spare time, it's a lot of fun. I really like it. So I guess that there's some ops experience in there because I have to run my own services. That's usually when you work for bigger company, I guess you don't have opportunity to do that. They are kind of separated in the traditional business, especially.
Mm-hmm.
But later, I think at that time when I was in Ericsson, at that time it was 2004 or 2005. 2015. I guess that time I was starting looking to Docker.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's kind of cool, but there's a lot of limitations. And
Yes.
And in Ericsson, I cannot really try it at work because
You couldn't try Docker at work in Ericsson.
because the infrastructure there is very restricted.
Yes,
And,
it's probably old. It's because it's a very big company. It's an old company.
they have their own IT desk and stuff. They don't allow you to install software. Like if I want to install like a compiler in my home directory, like you have a big shared environment. Everybody can log into their console
Mhm.
using SSH.
So they have remote desk workstations. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to install Docker. But I think in the end I don't know. I don't remember if I succeeded or not. But at the time I started to trying out Docker. Feels like this thing's it's kind of cool to
Mhm.
pack applications. But when I really started using it, it was after I left Ericsson. I worked for a company called Jet Shop. They're
Jet Shop.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I have an old classmate who works there actually.
okay, nice.
Yeah. Now at least.
So, oh yeah.
Mhm.
So they're
So you switched from Ericsson and being a consultant. And now you started working as a developer for Jet Shop.
yeah.
Okay, so how was that like? So you started. Was there where you got to play more with Docker, or?
Yeah, definitely, because we're in a small team. It's like 2.5 developers in our team with the product, and we develop and host and manage the service ourselves. I mean, just our team, so we can basically do whatever we want. So that's kind of cool. In the beginning, I was still using the traditional way of managing the service, but like sometimes we had to deal with the load. It's kind of our workload is not very consistent. So sometimes there's a like a peak work hour or something.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly you need a lot of
There's a sale or something, or
a lot of workers. So I mean application is mainly in Python. So but so we do a lot of like file format conversion in Python, and there's sometime when there's a lot of jobs kicks in, suddenly you will need a lot of you can choose manually start more virtual machine, like just clone from one instance,
Mhm.
let them join the task, but that's kind of hideous. So I start to look into at that time there's no Kubernetes, so but Amazon has their own Docker services.
But
So-
was this before Docker Swarm as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
So so that you can define the Docker containers in Amazon Docker services and scale it up and down based on some conditions.
Mhm.
Like in this case, we can scale it up based on the jobs in the queue. So that's the time. So that's when I had some experience dealing with like auto scale and how to design the system so that you can probably just scale small part of it. I mean, at that time, didn't know it's called microservices, but we try to split those worker part, the computational part, into a smaller component, so we can only scale that part up and down, in and out, or
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? So usually the way it goes is that you have an application that does some type of. You have one part of the system that needs an extra performance boost that needs to be scaled. It's not that common actually that people create microservices directly in a greenfield project.
Yeah.
Usually it happens, but by you have a big system, a monolithic or some application, and then you find, okay, this part here needs to be scaled. So we split that out into a service, and then we can scale that. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that time, I think I'm glad that, maybe I heard something about. In the end, we were trying out microservices, but I feel like it's kind of ridiculous because you only have 2.5 developers in your team, and you need and you want to do microservices, just adding a lot of overhead to the development. So
yes,
it's kind of stupid.
It's overkill. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah. But luckily, our infrastructure is kind of good, so it didn't go that bad. I mean, like.
But what happened when you tried to microservice everything? Like, did everything start to take more time, or like what happened?
I think that just development takes more time because, if you want to debug something, for example, if the infrastructure doesn't support it, you need to track down. Okay, this request caused this issue, and you need to go through all the services to track down the whole. You to chain the whole events and to get a clear picture. And then you have to try to reproduce that locally, and it's if the infrastructure doesn't support that, you don't have centralized logging, for example. It's kind of difficult, and also I mean, if you have too many microservices running at the same time, it's also it's everything. Just debugging may become complicated, and development also like. How can you make sure this version of this microservice support both versions of the other service and stuff like
backwards compatibility, sharing models might be problematic.
I mean local development, for example, also it's a lot of things that is hidden under the benefits, I would say. So I'm glad I learned that the experience. Firsthand, so it's kind of cool.
So now you're like me, who did a very similar sort of thing. I was working by myself, and I tried to, all right, we're gonna do microservices because everybody is pretty much just saying that this is the thing, right? This is what we're gonna use. This is the best thing ever. Then I try it at small scale, and I realized, damn, how much more work I have to do. And then I realized that, you know what? This was probably much easier in a monolithic application.
Definitely.
So basically, that's pretty much it, dude. Like we can end it here if you want.
Okay, sure.
Because we can continue as well.
We haven't reached the Kubernetes part.
No, let's continue then. Let's fucking continue. Like I just want you to feel comfortable. So when we're talking about Kubernetes. When did you make the switch into Kubernetes? Like, because you started out with writing your own automation tools using Docker and scaling, and then you went into Kubernetes. Yeah,
basically after I started working here. At that time, yes.
So this was the first company you started using Kubernetes in?
Yes, I had to learn about Kubernetes. Before that, I kind of looked into Docker Swarm. That's kind of, I guess...
But they deprecated Docker Swarm, I think.
So that time, I don't know. I never had a need for it. I was using Docker and Docker Compose, and it probably feels like under some Amazon Docker service. So it feels like it's kind of. I didn't know what else I can get out from this until I see in Kubernetes there's a lot of more things you can do. But at that time, I guess in 2017 it was fairly new. Also, the Kubernetes, maybe that was 11, 12, or I don't know what version was it. But it was also kind of early. They have another competitor. I don't know, forgot the name, Marathon or Mesosphere. So that one I heard a lot about from other presentations, from the local meetup presentations. So, but it's hard to understand why do you need this unless you have some applications, I guess, a certain level of applications.
Yes. because you might this and that's the mistake, right? You think that the tool is being promoted and therefore it has to be good and it has to improve your workflow, but it's only when you understand like what problem it's solving, and if you have that problem, you're actually going to be able to leverage all those benefits. Otherwise, you might actually have, as you were saying with microservices, hidden costs that actually slow you down.
So for me right now, for example, if I write a new web service, I'm okay with just using Docker Compose. Like in a Docker Compose, just write down the image name and versions, and that's it. Expose some port. It's enough for me.
Yes.
I don't need anything more.
Now, Kubernetes gives you a ton of other stuff as well, but I mean, if you're not building something that needs to scale to tons and tons of services, then Docker Compose is going to do the job. They've even updated Docker now so that you have many of the same sort of concepts like services and networks and stuff like that are very similar to how it works in Kubernetes.
Okay.
Which I think is super nice.
Yeah.
So, but basically what I'm hearing from you is that you've had a pretty cool journey. I mean, you started out, like, you came here to Sweden to study biology and system engineering, and then you spent quite some time as a QA, and then you kind of progressed into software development, and now you are, well, basically I'm pretty sure that the lights would turn off if you stopped working here, because as soon as something is wrong with our infrastructure, you're the guy to call. Everybody knows that.
No.
Yes, you are. You don't have to be a modest here. I know exactly how good you are.
Then that's pretty bad for the company. We should try to solve that.
We should try to solve it. We should try to diversify a little bit. But I mean, so how do you feel about that? Like, do you enjoy your role as an infrastructure person, or is like, what do you prefer? Like, or do you prefer application development, or like how do you think about your own work? What do you love about your job?
I like doing infrastructure stuff. I don't know. I like both. I also like coding, the designs, the system, and so it's really hard. Just I think I kind of feel bored if I just keep doing one thing. It would be great to have a mix of things. And
a little bit of diversity.
Yeah.
Except if it's CSS or frontend.
If there's no requirement for frontend for the UI, probably I could do it. If I had the freedom to do whatever I want, no matter if it's ugly or not, as long as it's functional. I don't know.
You've spoken like a true backend developer.
I try to. I don't know. Maybe I try to be pixel. If I had to make sure the UI I implement it the same with design. I am just trying to. I tend to spend too much time in CSS, just trying to make it pixel perfect. But I have limited knowledge with CSS, so it doesn't always go. It takes so long to just make it into the looks I want. So.
Yes, I can imagine that. It is very tricky to make something look exactly like as a designer wants it to look. And CSS is tricky. It takes years and years of practice to get good at it.
Yeah. So.
But luckily you can avoid it since you're so good at backend and infrastructure.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure I'm good in infrastructure. I think.
You are basically one of the main developers when it comes to this company's infrastructure, and since this company's making money and we have a bunch of quite a lot of services and a fairly decent level of infrastructure, even for a small company, I would say that you're pretty good at what you do.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I think this is coming from the heart, dude. Completely from the heart. Yes. I know exactly how, whenever we have an incident or something like that, you're basically one of the first people to take a look at it. And if I have any problems with my environments, I know exactly who I need to talk to.
Okay. Yeah, I was talking with my friend the other day because she said she some problem at work because she made a mistake and deal was off. And I told her it's just when people are saying they are more experienced, it's basically because they made more mistake before. So that is exactly the same here. When you ask me, when there's something wrong with the infrastructure and you try to ask me, it's because I have made this mistake before.
Yes.
it's mostly like that. Because I don't know. I like infrastructure stuff and try to learn. I've been listening to a lot of scaling up stories or presentations in the past, but it's always looks so fancy, like how they talk about they use this and that solve this scalability problem, but then when you really have the opportunity to deal with scalability problem or similar problems, you will realize there's so much more that is underneath. It's not always like a unicorn rainbow experience. It's a lot of times it's very frustrating.
Yes, it is, but that's the thing, all right. Some people look at these like tech talks and like the presentation because that's where that's the perfect world, right? You're trying to present the best side of the company and the success case, but you can never really understand how much work goes into doing something until you tried it yourself.
Yeah. So I guess in that sense, I'm really appreciating this company. Yeah, we're in this situation that we need to deal with different kind of problems that I have otherwise no opportunity to solve by myself, or together with others. And so
you are spot on there, because infrastructure is one of those things where you can't really get good at it by yourself at small scale. You kind of need a company that has problems that needs to be solved in order to learn about it.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is an experience.
Exactly, that is what it is, and I'm so happy to be able to work with you, dude.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. Oh, you. Thank you.